January 14th meeting of the Missoula Board of County Commissioners. I'll begin per tradition with a land acknowledgement that Missoula County acknowledges that this event takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. And next, if you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Violet, could you cue up the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you everyone for that. Are there any public announcements from staff at this time? One announcement I would like to make is that next week on January 20th will be the second meeting of the Board of Directors for the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority. You can learn more about that and how to participate in that meeting by going to montanapassengerrailsummit.org, and you can find dial-in information there. The meeting is on, again, January 20th from 3 to 5 p.m. At this point in the agenda, are there any comments from folks participating today on items not on today's agenda? You will have a chance, if you have the agenda in front of you, to comment on those specific items when we take them up during the public hearing portion of the agenda. Anything that you'd like to comment on that's not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, our current claims received as of December 30th, 2020 through January 5th, 2021 by the Commissioner's Office total $1,142,879.65. As we typically point out in these meetings, if you'd like more detail on what that amount breaks down into, you can go to the electronic copy of today's agenda and click on the current claims list link, and that will open up a list of the specific claims that comprise that total that I just read. So today we have a number of public hearings, and just by way of procedure and housekeeping, what we'll do is begin with a staff report on each of these, or for those public hearings that have already been opened and remain open, we'll have an update from staff. We'll then take public comment, and if it's an item that we'll be taking action on today, the commissioners will then have an opportunity for questions and deliberation amongst ourselves, and then we'll vote on it if indeed we are taking action today. If you'd like to comment on any of those items at the point in time when I indicate that it's open for public comment, if you're joining us today via the internet, please use the raise hand function in Microsoft Teams. If you go to your menu at the top of your screen, you'll see a little icon that looks like a raised hand. Click on that and I'll know who to call on, and I'll take you in the order in which I see you appearing on the screen. I see there are a number of folks dialing in today via phone, actually quite a few, and an ever-increasing number. I suspect, although I could be wrong, that folks are interested in commenting either on the Macaulay Meadows subdivision or the potential or the road petition that's before us today. What I will do at that time is just quickly read down the list of numbers, reading off the last 4 digits of your phone number. If you want to comment on that item, go ahead and comment at that point. If I hear silence, that's my indication that you're not interested in commenting, and we'll move on. If for some chance you are here to actually speak on the topic of budget amendments today or the Alexandra Estate subdivision, I'm not going to read through the entire list of phone numbers. Just chime in, and we'll try to keep things from getting too out of control with people talking on top of each other. So with that, we will begin with our first public hearing that'll open, and this is on a couple of budget amendments. This is brought to us today by Amanda Henthorn, our budget analyst out of our finance department. Amanda.
Thank you, Commissioner Strohmeyer. I will start first with our budget amendment for the county attorney. I'm asking today for you to adopt a resolution to amend the fiscal year 21 budget to include revenues and expenditures related to a grant that the county attorney's office received from the Montana Board of Crime Control. With the COVID-19 kind of grinding everything to a halt earlier in the year, several trials and other kind of arraignments and all sorts of things were put on delay. And the county attorney's office now finds itself in a position where it is swamped with work as all of that backlog and current crimes still continue to happen. And so they requested the assistance of an additional temporary attorney. We received just over $70,000 in funding for this position for basically calendar year 2021, which will run for the first half of this fiscal year. And there is no match in terms of dollars or funds that Missoula County has to provide. You also approved this grant agreement at your December 8th, 2020 administrative meeting.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. Let's go ahead and dispense with this item. Is there any public comment on this budget amendment? Okay, seeing none. Any questions on the motion?
I don't have any. I move that the board adopt a resolution to amend the fiscal year 2021 budget to include revenues and expenses related to the grant received from Montana Board of Crime Control.
I will second that. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Next item, Amanda.
All right. I again have another resolution to amend the fiscal year 2021 budget to include revenues and expenses related to additional work on the Milan area master plan. The city of Missoula, in working with our community and planning services department, had asked for additional services, some training and other web-based tools, in essence, to help disseminate information about the plan. And the city of Missoula has agreed to pay for those. We need to amend our budget to include the reimbursement revenue for them for those additional expenses, because we are managing the contract with the consultant for that. So in order to pay the consultant more and get that money from the city, we just need to amend the budget. There is no expense to Missoula County. And my understanding is Andrew Hagemeyer will have updated contracts to you next week for all of these items as well.
Did we want to switch? I'm looking at the RCA. Do we want to switch this to Swipticane master plan?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate, and we can just include that as part of your motion to amend the name of the plan.
I'm also wondering if, I don't want to hold anything up to if there's like a timing issue, but it shouldn't be that difficult, right?
No, we can certainly amend that. I don't think it has any impact on the actual resolution, and but I will check via and make sure.
Okay. Thank you.
This is Andrew. I just wanted to apologize to Amanda. All of her records reference Mullen. And so I didn't give her a heads up that we changed the name of the planning process to Swipticane. So she just referenced all of her documents that she has with the contract and the budget items and everything. So sorry about that, Amanda.
Sorry,
no problem. I will make sure that that change gets made on the reason for the resolution, and we can get that updated and have you sign it once that's correct, if you are still willing to approve the additional $15,000.
Great. I move that the board adopt a resolution to amend the fiscal year 2021 budget to include additional revenues and expenses related to additional work on Molinary Master Plan, soon to be Swift-Decade.
I will second that. Is there any public comment on this budget amendment? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Our next public hearing that I'll open is on the Alexandra State Subdivision proposed amendments. Tim Worley with Community and Planning Services, would you like to introduce this for us?
Sure. Thanks, Commissioner Strohmeyer. Tim Worley from CAPS. Just going to show a very
I don't see Tim on the call. It looks like he might have gotten booted for just a second. Hopefully he can hop back on here shortly.
Okay, we will stay in a holding pattern momentarily.
I see Tim's back on. Cool.
My apologies, commissioners. I'm not sure what happened there. So Alexandra Estates, if we're ready just to continue here, this is a request. WGM is representing the developer. And the request is to amend, I believe it's a total of 8 conditions of approval for Alexandra Estates subdivision, which is a 23 lot subdivision on the west side of Highway 93 South between Missoula and Lolo. And that developer has requested an extension of this hearing item to basically process the recommendations that have come out of the staff report for this particular condition amendment request. So my recommendation, commissioners, is just to leave the hearing open and open things up for public comment if any folks are present to comment. I'm not seeing WGM present, but maybe somebody's on the line representing the developer.
Yeah, at this time, is there the applicant or applicant's representative on the line who would like to speak to this? Okay, is there any member of the public who would like to offer comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll keep the public hearing open. And any indication, Tim, how much additional time they think they need, or too early to tell?
Yeah, I've requested that information, and it's a little too early to tell. But what we will do is we will actually renotice this public hearing item so that folks are aware of it, and bring it back to you when it's ready to go.
Okay, thanks. We'll keep that open. And our next 2 items here that pertain to the Macaulay Meadows subdivision also have their genesis in a public hearing that is also open from a previous meeting. And Tim Worley will also update us on this. I should just let folks know, and I'm sure Tim will mention this also, we will not be taking action on this today. So if you want to offer comment today, you'll be able to, but just know that this is not the end of the story and we'll be coming back. So if you don't want to comment today, but do want to at a different date or a later date, that's okay also. Tim?
Thank you. Yes, there's actually 2 individual public hearing items, and the first is the review of new information for Macaulay Meadows subdivision. And just to recap our chronology, this went to planning board on the 6th of October, came before you initially on the 5th of November, and that's when new information was introduced. that had not been presented at planning board. We determined that this new information was relevant and credible, which triggers a requirement for a hearing within 45 days. This new information has been distributed for review, and we've received public comment in response to particularly the new information. At the time, the developer's representative felt that they needed more time to assess the responses to the new information, and we agreed upon a date of January 14th, 2021 for that public hearing discussion. The developer's representative has requested a further extension to address the responses to the new information, and we do not have a date certain for that. So my recommendation would be to take public comment and leave the hearing open.
And Tim, is the developer's representative present today, and would they like to say anything?
I am not aware that they are on the call.
Okay. Well, that being the case, this will be our course of action. We'll take public comment, leave the hearing open until a date yet to be determined when we'll reconvene and take this up again. So at this point, if there are folks who are joining via Microsoft Teams who would like to comment, please use the raise hand function and I'll call on you. Once we exhausted all of those folks, we will move on to the phone callers. Mr. Brown. It looks like you're muted, Jim. Jim Brown. Yep, we got you now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. So I'm not sure if I need to say what I'm going to say now or wait for next time, but I will say it anyway. I just want to be very brief, but highlight a few things that we've offered in our comments. First, we don't believe any home sites are appropriate on Macaulay Butte itself. And we've submitted that several times in our testimony. There's a couple of important aspects to review. One is that the Macaulay Butte is a grassland habitat, which has been much diminished in a lot of places, particularly in the Missoula Valley. It's important to a lot of particular bird species. It is in the Clark Fork River Grass Valley Important Bird Area, which after a lot of bird surveys was approved by the National Audubon Society as having continental significance. So it's important way beyond the state of Montana. It's also a cornerstone in the Missoula's open space plan. It's a prominent landmark in our valley. The other important bird part is that's really come to light lately in a strong way is that Macaulay Butte lies right in an important migration corridor through the Missoula Valley. And we've known this for a long time through bird surveys that show the diversity of species. And then some recent studies through the Night Flight Project, which installs a lot of speakers throughout the Bitterroot and one here in the Missoula Valley. There's a huge number of individual birds of a lot of songbird species that migrate through this valley. The important thing is that come daylight, they sit down to avoid predators and to rest and catch up a little bit with their eating before they take off again on their route. An earlier comment had mentioned that our earlier testimony had no scientific basis, and that's completely unfounded. I could go into considerable detail about the scientific basis, but I don't think you want that. But it's based on numerous bird surveys and a lot of studies of bird behavior and bird ecology. So there's two big impacts from developing these home sites on the butte itself. And one is the direct loss of habitat. And the other is, which is quite substantial, is disturbance and a displacement of birds due to activities of people, both noise and the visibility disturbance. Some birds are much more disturbed than others. I mean, everybody knows that house sparrows love people and buildings, but a lot of the migrant songbirds are very sensitive to disturbance, and so that's a major impact. Just to summarize a little bit, I've been birding and been a student of bird ecology for 66 years. 55 years of that I've been here in Missoula. And during this time, I've seen a definite reduction in habitat, as you can understand, but also some bird species that were once fairly easy to find and common now are very unusual. So the important thing is here that there's a incremental loss of habitat in the Missoula Valley. And that incremental loss of habitat is substantial and it is significant. So this valley, which is in the IBA and an open space cornerstone, is really a precious resource through our river bottoms and our valley. So I think it's important now and for future people that we take good care of this precious resource. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Jim. Other folks joining us via the internet who would like to comment? Violet, I see Violet. Are you, do you have something you want to chime in with?
No comment. I just wanted to remind folks calling in, if you do want to comment, just don't forget to hit *6 so that you can unmute yourself. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. John Hart, Deputy County Attorney.
Thank you, Commissioners. Yeah, I would just recommend to Mr. Brown that that he and his organization compile and submit copies of any and all scientific, and other birding journal articles that you think that the county commissioners should consider in making the decision as to whether or not to approve or deny or approve with conditions this subdivision. I recommend that it's important that the commissioners actually have copies of those reports and journal articles, if it's possible for your organization to submit those prior to the next hearing.
Thanks, John. Jim, would that be possible?
Yes, we will submit it. We've already submitted reference to some of these journals, but I will put together more of that background.
Exactly. And I saw the reference to certain articles, and my point was if there's anything more that you want the commissioners to consider, please submit that before the next hearing.
One of the things we have, which I don't know that you want to see, would be numerous bird surveys through the IBA. And if the commissioners are interested in those, we can submit them.
Yeah, that would be good, Jim. I mean, if the volume gets completely out of hand, maybe you could winnow it down to the most salient surveys and provide reference to the balance.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Thank you, John and Jim.
Thank you.
Other folks joining by Microsoft Teams who would like to comment. And then we'll move on to the phone callers. Okay, let's move on into the phone numbers. I will call out the last 4 digits of your number. Please unmute yourself if you want to comment. If I don't hear anything, I will just move on to the next number. 4678. 4049. 5611. 4765. 5981. I feel like we're preparing for a lotto drawing here or something. What do you think? 4259. 5326.
Bingo.
Okay, bingo. Nice. Is that you, Steve Nide?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm assuming you don't want to comment on this and are here for the next item.
No, just being a smart aleck.
Okay, there is always one in the group. Now I lost my number. Were you five? Well, which number were you? 4259?
No, I think I was 7207.
Oh, jeez. Okay, how about 4542? 9940? Is there anyone who wants to comment out here on the Macaulay Meadows subdivision, recognizing you'll have another chance when we take this up again? Okay, the public hearings will remain open. Thanks, Tim.
Sure.
Okay, now you will have a chance here shortly, Steve, to spout off about whatever you feel appropriate to chime in on. But first off, we have, I'll open the public hearing on this road petition related to Conifer Drive and Brookview Drive. Sam Scott, would you like to introduce this for us?
I would. Let me share my screen here. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. Sam Scott with the Clerk and Recorder. A petition to establish a county road has been submitted to our office. The roads petitioned to be established are those portions of Conifer Drive from 9 Mile Road ending at Meadow Mountains 1, and then Brookview Drive beginning at Conifer Drive ending at also Mountain Meadows number 1. A notice of hearing has been published twice in the Missoulian, and all affected landowners have been contacted. The petition was signed by more than 10 freeholders of the road district and is now presented to the board for discussion and to schedule a viewing. And I believe Steve probably does have some comment as well.
Okay. Steve Nide.
Yes, I don't really have any comments yet. I believe, Dave, you are up for the viewing, and seeing all those 626 numbers, I'm suspecting those callers are interested in commenting on this. So let's let them go and we'll see if they have any questions that I might be able to answer.
Very good. Well, we are opening the public hearing on this. We will be revisiting this at a later date also after the commissioners have a chance to go out and view it on site. Let's, as with the last public hearings, begin with, is there anyone on the line or dialing in using the internet via Microsoft Teams to connect? In which case, please raise your hand and I will take you in order. Okay, seeing none, let's do another quick run through the lucky numbers and see if anyone would like to chime in. And again, if not, no pressure. I will just move on and take the next number. 4678.
Yeah.
Yes, 4678. Would you like to identify yourself and offer any comment on this?
Yeah, we have a couple of things. One is
and could you
try and establish what timeline?
Yeah, and sir, could you please state your name?
Sorry, my name is John Ashell. I'm here with Jan Murphy.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're really interested in what the timeline and the events would be to get this accomplished, and then also to look at what initial costs may be to each of the freeholders, and also what ongoing cost would be for each of the freeholders.
Sure, thank you. Steve, would you like to take a stab at answering any of that? I think we probably have a clearer picture of the timeline for making a decision on this than we might on some of the other items, but go ahead.
Yeah, the timeline can be relatively quick depending on the commissioner's schedule and ability to get out there and do the on-site viewing. After that takes place, we'll continue this public hearing. We'll present a viewing report and entertain any comments from the public additionally. You mentioned costs to the freeholders. There shouldn't be any cost to the landowners out there. The only cost that could factor in would be if one of the landowners that is directly affected by this potentially new stretch of public right-of-way, if they claim some kind of damages due to the making of a public right-of-way that goes above and beyond the benefits that they may get, the county would have to consider those damages and potentially pay that difference. Typically, the benefits equal the burden, and generally speaking, no money changes hands when a new road is established like this. That's just general. That's not always the case, though.
Thank you, Steve. Next caller.
I'm sorry. In the event of those costs, which could be minor but could also be major, is there a way of not participating in that?
Well, let me repeat. The cost would not be by the landowners. The cost would be to the county. Does that change your question at all?
Yeah, maybe if my wallet is protected, yes.
Well, it's only protected insofar as any of the costs would be spread out to the wallets of everyone in Missoula County who are paying property taxes.
It looks like Shane from Public Works has his hand up, maybe to answer some of this.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. I think there's some confusion too. I think there was a group of folks out on Conifer that had assumed that if the county takes over maintenance of the road and ownership of the road, that then there would be an RSID created, and then all the property owners along the road would have to pay more taxes. And that's not the case. And we've tried to communicate that there's, by Missoula County taking over maintenance and ownership of this roadway, there's no change in what you would see on your tax bill regardless. And so I don't know how to state it any other way. There's not going to be an increase in your taxes.
You just got two thumbs up.
Okay, that's pretty clear, Shane. Thanks for that clarification.
Thank you, Shane.
Okay, we'll go on to the next caller, 4049. How about 4049? Are you wanting to speak?
Hi, I'm Stella Van Lowe, and my comment was if we can have this done quickly, it means our students would not have to be on the bus at 7:20 in the morning. So I would like to see it happen quickly so the students are able to be picked up earlier.
Could you explain, just for my own edification, what the situation is there? Does the bus not?
The bus cannot go across Conifer Drive, so a different bus has to go and pick up other kids. That has to come to Conifer Drive first via 6 Mile Road, and then pick up the Conifer Drive students at the mailboxes. Then it has to go back, and basically it makes that bus route much longer, where if we had the Conifer Drive open, the shorter bus route that goes up 9 Mile could pick the students up, and it would be much later in the morning because they would be, the person who goes up 9 Mile would be picking them up on the way into the school.
Okay, thank you for that comment. Next caller, 5611. And if folks have the ability and could mute themselves after they speak, that would be great, just in the event that dogs start barking or unexpected noises appear in the background. 5611. How about 4765?
Hello?
Yes, hello, welcome. Would you like to? Yeah, if you could
just
state
a
your
quick
name.
comment. At this point, the burden falls on a few individuals that don't necessarily have time to do the plowing, don't have necessary time to do any maintenance on it, type of thing. And so adding it to the county would not only assure that that road would be taken care of, but free up individuals that have had to donate their time and money to maintain it. And that's the only comment I wanted to say.
Thank you. Who is this that's speaking to us?
Oh, this is Nikki Okert.
Okay, thanks, Nikki. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. 5981.
You hear me?
We can hear you. Welcome.
You able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. If you could state your name for us, that would be great.
Paul Clifford. Some of the people know me by Tony up here.
Okay, Tony, go ahead.
As far as the bus route goes, and what Stella said is correct, it actually shaved almost 30 minutes off of the bus route. And this probably doesn't really pertain to this particularly, but we had a bus driver go across that route, and there was an individual down there that complained about that. So then they changed our bus route again. And then my biggest concern was this consent not given for an establishment or authorization of probable cause of the right-of-way of $40,000. Can we clarify that a little bit?
Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, yes, I can speak to that. So I looked at a worst case scenario where the entire proposed right-of-way would be in opposition. I guess there'd be an opposition by all the landowners adjacent to that entire right-of-way. The entire right-of-way that's being asked to become public is 3.75 acres. So I looked at 3.75 acres and made a kind of a guess at what undeveloped land would sell for out there. And that's kind of a worst case scenario. So that's where that number came from. And I would not expect that it would come anywhere near that, because I wouldn't expect all the landowners to oppose. In fact, they've signed the petition, most of them. And as I had said earlier, you have to award damages based on benefits and detriments. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question.
It does. And a couple of the individuals that weren't able to be on the phone today, when they saw that number, there was a concern about it, because there was a Conifer Road project, private account that was generated for the Upper Conifer and the Pond Road. And several people on Conifer Drive donated significant amounts of money. We drew up the figure specifically for the Pond Road. It was $20,300. And we have records of who those people were that donated. So, like, with all the money that the people up here put into it, and we see that 40,000, that might potentially bear on the people, we kind of see that as unfair.
Yeah, it's an element required by law that we provide an estimate of cost, so should the worst case scenario happen, essentially. But I would, not speaking for the commissioners, but I would say that, if it came back that there was multiple landowners opposed and asking for damages, they would merely most likely deny the petition, and there would be no cost then.
Right.
John Hart, our Deputy County Attorney, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, I wanted to ask Steve a question. Steve, it was my understanding, and when I reviewed this petition yesterday, that every property owners whose land would be encumbered by establishing Conifer Drive as a public right-of-way has signed the petition and consented to waiving damages. Am I mistaken about that?
Yes, the Millers, Scott and Carol, by virtue of a letter sent to the commissioners, have opposed the action at this time. So yes, all other directly affected landowners have signed the petition. So just the one couple there, the Millers.
I thought the Millers' property was not actually, would not actually be encumbered by this. Am I mistaken?
So their property line, it goes from the concrete, the pavement on 9 Mile Road, to about right in the middle of the Pond Road. Now, I believe, if I'm correct, that the 60-foot right-of-way through there right now. And their physical driveway is right up against the concrete or within, 20 feet.
So, Sean, yes, you touch on a nuance of this particular situation, whereas their ownership line goes not to the center of the road as it does in most cases, but to the northwesterly side of the road. The way this road was initially created, it was created to burden all the landowners on the southeasterly side of the road and not the northwesterly side of the road. So they can certainly voice their opposition, but in terms of damages, I don't believe the damages would include any payment for the easement burdening their land directly. It would be more indirect damages, such as increased dust or other items.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, commissioners. Oh, you're muted, Dave.
Of course I am. Thanks, Steve and John, and thanks, Tony, for your comments.
Thank you.
Next caller, 4259.
Dave,
Yeah.
I did not press the *6 again when my 511 number came out.
Could you repeat that?
This is Chris Sigler from the last four digits were 5611.
Oh, okay.
I did not appropriately *6 to unmute myself, apparently. I want to make a couple of comments.
Sure.
5 of the landowners who would be affected by this were at a meeting with Shane Stack and several of his employees back in July when we went over this. Those 5 affected landowners have signed this petition. We talked with the Millers about signing it. They said they did not want to sign it, but they would not object to it. So I just wanted to clarify that. A second issue would be that there should be another landholder listed as affected, and that would be Dorothy Durden, whose land is to the northeast on Brookview Drive. And she also signed a previous petition, so she's in favor of it. So actually, 6 out of the 7 people who would be directly affected by this assumption of maintenance by the county have actually signed the petition.
Thank you. Steve, does that align with what you are looking at there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that clarification. Next caller, 4259.
Yes, after.
Hi, who, could you state your name again?
I think, oh, perfect. I think you're unmuted now.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. If you could state your name for us, that would be great.
Paul Long.
Hi, Paul.
Okay. I just heard Chris mention that Dottie had some interest in this. Actually, I own all 60 foot of that road, and I think she would be in the same situation that Millers are in, because I own all 60 feet of that road on Brookview.
Okay.
Okay, and the other thing I've noticed in here is that the mention of the word right-of-way is used quite a bit. And as far as I know, this is not a right-of-way, it's an easement. If it's a right-of-way, you'll have to buy it from us. And so I think that word is being construed wrongly.
Steve, could you speak to the technical use of these terms?
Well, you're getting into
John Hart.
Yeah, there you go. You're getting into John's arena.
Oh, okay. He's having someone else.
So commissioners, you know, obviously you're hearing a petition to establish a county road. And that would be, if you were to approve this petition, this is not an easement in the sense of, you know, you and I own land next to each other, and I give you the right to, you and only you, the right to cross my land at your choosing. This is a public easement, so to speak, and that is, you know, the term right of way implies that, you know, it's the public's right to use this way for all lawful purposes. And that may include more rights than are included in a private easement between private parties. But the effect is exactly the same, whether you want to call it a public easement or you want to call it a county road or you want to call it a public right-of-way. There are statutory rights that come with the designation of a county road. And if you grant this petition, then the public will have all of those rights.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's fine with us.
Okay. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, John, for that clarification. Next caller, 5326.
Oh, this is Bruce.
Hi, Bruce. Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can. Could you state your last name, Bruce?
Sims, S-I-M-S.
Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think something that hasn't been mentioned is that I think during the winter, if we could get this plowed properly, it would add to public safety, because there are some steep embankments along the road, and there, you know, there's been some times when cars have had a difficulty traversing the road. Also, if there's ever dust abatement, it would really help with that issue as well. So that's my comment.
Thanks. And just quickly speak to that, Shane Stack. Could you clarify? Do you envision this being folded into our winter maintenance schedule should it become a county road?
Yeah, we would definitely plow it, and then we've also considered the dust abatement, and it's such a small stretch. I think we could, you know, do dust abatement, and I think there was even comments of, you know, a hard surfacing, and if MDT has a project in the area in the future, we could work to get millings up there too. So,
great, thanks for that. Next caller is 7207. Looks like you're unmuted now. Go ahead and state your name if you'd like and offer your comment.
This is Bill Lunn. We approached the county several years ago to take that stretch of road over, and the concern back then was the earth-filled dam, and that it had not been engineered. And so, has those things been taken care of at this time, or are we going to have to do something different with that dam that the road's crossing?
Thanks for that. Shane, would you like to field that one too?
Sure. We haven't done any analysis that I'm aware of, and I don't know the history. I kind of just given a brief, I guess, history of the fact that the reason why it wasn't considered in the past was because there was concern about the dam, but talking to the county engineer, he doesn't see it as too big of a challenge, and if we need to, we can have a geotech evaluate it and give us feedback on whether or not we should be concerned.
Okay, and so at this time, there will be no RFID included in this project?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, that was my concern, so thank you.
Thank you. Next caller is 4542. If you want to speak, you'll have to unmute yourself. Okay, we will move on to there we go. Welcome. If you'd like to state your name and offer your comment, we'd appreciate it.
I appreciate that. This is the Morrises at the upper end of Conifer, and our questions have all been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. 9940.
Hi.
Yeah, we can hear you. If you could state your name for us, that would be great.
Lori Kress. My only question was, are the residents going to have an input on the speed limit on that road?
Well,
that?
So at any point, we will always take into consideration your desires for speed limits. We're somewhat bound by state law in terms of we may or may not be able to set the speed limit that folks might like. Do you have particular thoughts on the matter right now?
Well, I think a lot of people use that that road to walk. I've ridden my horses across it a few times, and I think having a high speed limit on that road could potentially be dangerous to a lot of the residents.
Sure. Shane, could you clarify what's the do you know offhand, based on your understanding of this road, what would be the lowest speed limit that we could apply there?
With it being a gravel road, I believe we can go to 25. And it's the paved roads where we have the 35 issue in the urban districts.
But yes.
Right now, the paved road is not a problem, right? I mean, that's not a consideration right now. That's just down the road.
No, it's gravel right now, so we would be able to post it at as low as 25. I think we'd want to do a little evaluation and collect speed data and try to make an engineering-based recommendations for the commissioners to finally decide. But we can go as low as 25.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. 8544. 8544. How about 0543? Is there anyone who has not spoken who would like to offer comment on this? Okay, I guess seeing none, we can go ahead and move to trying to schedule the road viewing. Violet or Steve, any thoughts on that? Violet, I don't know if you have my schedule in front of you there.
Yep, I can pull it up. Steve, what would work for you?
Anything.
Nice. Dave, I mean, you're pretty free tomorrow, but if you wanted to look at next week.
Oh, you're muted, Dave.
Twice in one meeting. So Steve, how much time do you think we need to block out for this? A couple hours or?
Yeah, I would think a couple hours should be fine. Now, I guess that would depend on how many people might want to join us out there, and sometimes the discussion can can grow, but 2 hour, I would schedule 2 hours.
Yeah, let's not do tomorrow. I would say if we could do it sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Let's see. Maybe Steve, I can, when I have a little more time to check it out, I can just shoot you an email. Would that work?
Yes, absolutely. Find a slot that works for Dave and I'll try to make it work for me.
Perfect.
Okay. And Steve, will you then communicate with folks out there when we're going to be taking a look on the ground? Or yeah. What's the way that we typically handle this?
Well, in the old days, we would get people to sign in when they walked into the meeting. I guess if we can record a list of these phone numbers, I could call them, or potentially making it easier on myself, I could get word to Chris, who's the lead petitioner, and have him contact the locals out there.
Yeah, that sounds like a good strategy. And basically for folks who are listening in today, I will be the commissioner designee who will go out there with Steve and just take a little drive and refresh my memory what the road conditions on the ground actually look like.
Hey, Dave and Juan, it's Josh. I just want to let you know I'm here.
Hey.
A day late and $1 short. We are almost to adjourn. So, okay. Well, welcome, Commissioner Slotnick. So, Violet, you'll get with Steve and work out the details as far as a day and time, and that will be communicated to Chris, I believe, who will not Chris Lonsberry, but
Siegel.
Yes.
Siegler. Sorry.
Yeah.
And then
all right.
A date for the second hearing we'll need to set up as well.
Yeah. Do we want to do that? Can we do that now?
Yeah.
Early February, maybe?
Sure.
How does our public hearing schedule look in the month of February, Violet?
So the earliest one in February would be the 4th, and I'm pretty sure we would have room for it on the 4th if we wanted to do that.
Steve, will that work for you? And Sam?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we will get out there, do the road viewing, and schedule this for a public hearing on the 4th of February. Thanks, everyone, for sitting through all of this and hanging in there and offering your really good comments and questions today. Is there any other business to come before the commission at this time?
Dave, you're right. I really did come at the very end.
You did.
We got done with that press conference and I came here. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for the moral support, Josh. And with without any other business to come before the commission, we will be adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. You didn't miss anything, Josh. All good. No decisions were made.